we'll click this and then say yo, what up? How's it going, man?
It is going all right.
That's good. That's good to hear. So Endeavor 2, huh?
Yeah.
What do we got going on with Endeavor?
We're gonna give all of our attacks so much speed that everyone will cry.
Oh, okay. Hey, makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. That's just the pitch. Fast boys.
That's the short of the pitch, honestly. I have, fast as flame. We've got let's fight bad guys. We've got our face. We've got ice gliding if we need it. We've got point blank incineration. We've just got all the stuff that gives speed, and we picked a bunch of attacks that already are. Almost all of them are at least base 6 damage. So even if we're not pumping damage, they are big. That one is even bigger.
I hate this card.
Yeah,
I hate this card.
So, we've
this
got
card's
Mighty
tight.
Punch in there to help us draw some cards.
I do like that one.
Yo, this thing gets so fast.
Right. We've got
It's
Ignited Arrow.
also
to
hits hard if
also
you don't
help
have
us,
anything.
find attacks. Ignited Arrow seems kind of fun because nobody wants to block it, but they also don't want to take 6. So what are you
Right.
gonna do? Yeah, that's really the short of the pitch. Everything's just big. We're just playing a gorilla right now.
I like that one.
I'm tired of building big brain decks, and we're just gonna be a gorilla and throw big numbers at you and see what you can do.
I do love being a gorilla for sure. Question for you though. So what's our goal here? What are you trying to have us fix?
I think the block zones are a little bit of a problem. It's also very freshly made, so this is obviously. I mean, it's obviously not made in real life either, but so just some of those initial lookovers, anything I may have missed glaringly, and then block zones are certainly a problem, but also we're kind of a big character who has a little bit of negation for damage on our face, so we can handle not having the best blocks in the world, but we probably need them to be maybe a little better. I don't know.
Sure. Sounds good. Bear, what's your initial thoughts?
Yeah, as someone, the only time I've ever played the fire symbol in my life is definitely, let's throw a bunch of stats on some orange cards, and sometimes your opponent can't block them all, right? Like, that's the kind of idea if you put enough points into your system. I definitely can see the, Fury theme. He has a bunch of Fury attacks, so let's fight bad guys, give you some extra free speed on the Fury attacks. But it doesn't necessarily mean I think we have to focus 100% on just Furies, because I think we can get there with, like capabilities as well, also focusing on that. But you have the evil gazes, you have the sugar rush, you have the go for the wins. The prominence burns alone will be able to carry speed over onto other things. Quick to act whenever we get to half of our vitality, right? Like, we're gonna keep giving a ton of speed. Ice gliding's generic, but and he doesn't lock himself on a keyword, right? So so tentacle tactics, I'm kind of on board with Tam here. It is a brick of stats for sure, but because of that, that's why it's a 5 difficulty attack, and we are kind of already playing a very high curve. Because my fear is we'll go and we'll play high speed attacks, but we're only going to play 1 or 2 a turn, and that's not as scary as being able to pull out a bunch of high speed attacks.
Yeah.
Block bonds, I think you're kind of right, though. He's got -4 damage on his face alone. He has -4 speed, which means we... Yeah, okay. But there's the block mods. Yeah. So you're going to block mid really well, that's for sure.
Best. Just the best.
But I think it's also...
every mid we see.
I think if we just kind of slot in some of the, higher impact quality cards that don't necessarily focus on giving the speed, we'll kind of see a better balance go through. So Tamo has already over here been looking at things like what's that?
Yeah, we'll just hit the refresh.
So all the stuff in the sideboard that he kind of touched base on. Heroic Lineage is going to help you kind of stay alive more. Irrefutable Force of Nature is kind of slow people down, and boom, those are two incredibly good low blocks, right? Forcing Surrender, another great low block we're going to slot in, and it just does well in most matchups. So I think we maybe we don't need every card that says pump speed. I think there's a world where we can even kind of get away from just focusing 100% on Fury attacks, and it just looks like a really coherent fire deck that we're gonna play a really strong generic character with. I mean, you got the Scorpion Master over here basically, and Endeavor is very close to that character in my opinion.
Yeah, he feels it. He doesn't quite jam the damage that Scorpion does, but he blocks just as well, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that you left on the table, honestly, is just heroic. This is pay 2 health to give the 2 speed, then give 2 damage, right? Like you just get to just double up on the pay 1 health for the +2 speed, then +2 damage here, which feels great. Yeah, I think attack wise, I think that you're incredibly close. This card, I think, has got a lot going on because it's essentially just a second copy of Endeavor. An 8 low for 4 whenever it matters is good, or a 4 low for 8 matters when it's good, or a 6 low 6.
I like 6 low 6 on a 4 diff a lot,
That's,
and it's kind of what I said. Like, as long as they're not all 5 difficulty attacks, being able to play this, it's going to be great for your low block count. It's also a mix-up because it is a low attack, and it fuels you even more by gaining more vitality if it does hit. So, let's say you just really need the speed on it, send it as an 8 low for 4, get your vitality back, and you got something valuable in where you gain vitality back that you spent, and you still pitch some damage on your opponent.
the only thing about this card is it doesn't work with point blank incineration, but this card is so to laugh mid. It's like it doesn't work with like half of your deck, right? There's got 1, 2, 3 of your options that you just like don't get to play this card with.
Yeah, we're trying to hit like long lasting and mighty punch for sure, but yeah, it doesn't hit the other stuff.
Yeah, so like why not just like make it this thing? Or if you want to spend the big bucks, flamethrower in this character is nuts. You just discard the top card of your deck and then see what you get speed wise, right? Like if I hit a prominence burn, I'm just like, oh, I guess I'll pay my 1 and give it more damage. But like if you hit like a go for the win, you'll be like, oh, I'll pay my 1 and give it more speed, right? Like I think this card is incredible in this character that's so modular of like it's speed or damage depending, and so like it makes up for it. And you said you wanted to play like a gorilla. Look at Bakugo's face. This is the most gorilla card of all time. I think this card actually single-handedly makes Shigaraki 2 worth it. Actually, I think this is the card to make Shigaraki 2 playable. And so like giving this thing +2 speed is like great. It's a 6 high for 1,000, 13 million, 7,645,000 damage.
And that one would be a good one to like keep the focus on the Fury attacks, whereas like Flamethrower would kind of like push you more further away from that kind of idea that we were talking about. And then, again, there's just other generic things. I think even without looking at all the Fury cards, like he, in my opinion, based off of, because the Fire Symbol is really good at pumping stats, and Dark Shadow Ruin is a card that just says I want stats on me, and if you can trigger the Dark Shadow Ruin, played Todoroki 2 under fire, giving it any form of speed or any form of damage makes that card go 1.5 miles. So like it's other things there. That one being another like ranged card instead, but like there's a lot of focus you can kind of go around.
The last I guess attacks that I saw is like we're just not playing Detonation Launcher or Howitzer Impact Cyclone. Cyclone draws cards and it's a 5 high for question mark, and the Detonation Launcher just like always gets you always hit with it, like just always. It's like a 6 low for 5 or like a 4 low for 7 depending on what you want to do. And so like, and these cards like are covering that high and low block slot. Like that's the real reason these cards are so impactful, pun intended, is the fact that they also catch your block zones correctly. And being able to draw the cards off of Cyclone is like nuts, right?
It's a lot of the same idea too with like Ignited Arrow, which you're already kind of having the board. Like it says if you do block it, I get to replace a card, but I'm also just trying to kill you, so I want to hit you. Like that's one of the attacks that you almost never want to give the speed, right? Like
Right.
very mix-up situation. So it's a little even kind of like counterintuitive with the deck. But I think a lot of what he's saying, like with the Howitzer Impact Cyclone, that could be your draw replacement that you could just slot in for Mighty Punch instead. 'Cause,
Correct.
like Mighty Punch needs that condition, and Howitzer Impact Cyclone also needs a condition, but it kind of fuels itself just on a higher curve.
I guess like the big thing difference between Mighty Punch and Howitzer Impact is like one can be played as a 5 diff, one has to be played as a 6 diff.
Yeah.
But I guess for the draw you don't have to play the combo. It just helps.
If you're already ahead, you definitely can just slam it and draw 2 if you have 2 momentum, right?
Right. It's interesting. Is any of this resonating at all? Does any of this sound like something you'd want changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I'm definitely not like committed to the Fury aspect, for sure. Obviously, like capabilities is in there, and let's fight bad guys. But I could have 4 fastest flame instead of 4 let's fight bad guys, right? Like it's
Sure.
I could easily switch that.
Yeah.
I just have it that way because the block mod is slightly
sure.
better on the other one. But you know, I could skew it that way. So yeah, I think a lot of those, yeah, stuff like forcing surrender and things like that to fix the block zones, I think will be good. Yeah.
If you so are there from the sideboard, are there attacks that you want us to try and slot in the deck?
Let's see here. So I am definitely interested
Dude,
in Detonation
this
Launcher.
that'll change
Yeah,
stuff.
the tricky thing is like the ones that are promos, I don't know where those come from, right?
These
It's
are
something-
provisional promos for season 2.
Yeah,
both of these
both of
are.
them
It will be harder to get.
So 100%, you can just get them from Redemption.
And they won't be legal for a very long time.
They'll be legal for, I want to say, online nationals. They are not set to set. It's like
It's
4 weeks or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was like you had to wait till the next thing. Oh, I thought that's kind of what the announcement was, right? So
At least that's what Andrew told me. I might have misunderstood what he said, but he picked them all up because they're going to be legal faster than you think.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of Stomp, and I'm down to slip some Detonation Launcher in there too.
No Howitzer though.
I don't have any of that card.
Okay.
I'm
Hey,
not
then we'll
posting
cut it for now.
But I will definitely keep it in mind.
All right. So first and foremost, this card, I hate it. So we're gonna take it. We're gonna replace it with 2 of these, and then Point Blank Incineration sucks. So we're gonna take and put in a hello Detonation Launcher. We're gonna take and put in a couple of these, and then see where that makes us. Okay. Did I mess up? No, we're good. All right. Ignited Arrow. Too high, long lasting.
I like it just strictly because it's a 4 diff, to be honest. Like, it's just gonna
Arrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I think it's a really good follow-up for... So I love how Tam kind of... So he grabbed the Frozen and he shoved it just to kind of look. And I think Frozen, along with cards like Go for the Win, make it stretch a lot further. And tapping your opponent's board is pseudo-speed, right? Like, if we want to go into that same idea, without necessarily playing, like, stun cards, right? Because, like, this isn't a Todoroki deck where we would normally be stunning our opponent. No, this is Endeavor. We're just throwing stats at you. And tapping your opponent's board from Frozen can help you get there, and it will always keep you at that threshold to trigger Go for the Win.
Yep. And keep you out of deadlock, right? If you want to get like at the very, very top of it. Like one of the big things that this set brought to everybody was destroy a foundation : but the fire symbol already had that for their turn. The fire symbol will never use Endenimed or whatever the name of that card is. They'll just use Frozen instead. And they should be using Frozen. This card is insane. This picture cracks me up. What's up with Blazing Fury being at a 4 of? What's up with that?
Again, it's a big number card. It also, if they are blocking really, really well, it's a way to guarantee getting rid of some of their health and like with a poke, you know, and then it also getting rid of momentum seems pretty good against a lot of people.
I think this is the coolest 2 of all time. and I think that you should just play more Hellflame Stomps. And I'd tell you to play more Ignited Arrows if we could. I think this card is such a beautiful poke, right? But it is just 4 speed. And if we make it 6 speed with our character, it's blank.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to have another card to kind of get you there with it, whether it's Fast as Flame or...
Which, I mean, we do, right? Like, we have 7 foundations that say flip for +2 speed, so that's typically what I'm doing, is making it a 6 mid for 8. Is kind of the idea, but...
You're not wrong, but I think there's other things that we'd rather slam that speed onto, like Mighty Punch.
Yeah.
Like, Mighty Punch is just like a better candidate than whatever Blazing Flame's doing, or Blazing Fury. I think Blazing Fury is just like, I think it's a really cool tech piece, to the point where, like, if I could get away with it, I would slam it down to a 1 of and, like, see what else we could find. But I don't want to go back into Ultra because there's 3 sets now I have to look through. Fuck that.
Yeah. It also goes well with long lasting, right?
It does.
When long lasting gives it the damage, and then I can give it the speed, but...
That is neat. All right, we'll put it back to 3. We'll put it back to 3 and we'll see what's up. I don't think it needs to be a 4 of for sure.
That's, and it's saying how it doesn't need to be a 4 of. I'm actually in that same boat right now with Mighty Punch. I think it's great that it's like that's our big draw, but because it is only 3 base speed first, and it needs a lot of help to get there, it makes me feel like when we are going to trigger it, it's not going to be as impactful unless we're already like to the moon and we have like 3 copies of Fastest Flame and or Let's Fight Bad Guys, and we have our face, and we're like totally fine with just sending it for 7 damage because we put it up to 10 speed.
Right.
But I feel like that requires a lot of foresight and kind of knowing where we're going with it. And instead, you're going to find it a lot as a 4 of when you don't have those pieces, and your opponent's going to be able to block the 5 speed base basically. But if that's the goal of the card 2, to just slam it at the beginning of your turn, see how your opponent reacts, I like the idea of it, to then bait them so that they have to tap resources for the rest of your turn.
Right.
Then I think it just becomes a curve issue like we talked about, where I think having the 4 Hellflame Stomps and the 4 Ignited Arrows will be the reason to help you out.
I do have to jump back in because I just don't like Detonation Launcher for not using Howitzer. If we don't go Detonation Launcher into Howitzer or Detonation Launcher into Explosion, which is fucked. Actually a fucked combo. I think that there's not really a reason for us to steal this momentum. The only momentum out that we have currently in the deck is either capabilities or Unnerving Energy. That's the only momentum outs, and so like that card probably should just leave. Any reason we're not playing Arctic Conflagration? Conflagration.
I'm not familiar with the card.
It's okay. It's the reason to get 4 of this. This is the best card in the structure deck. This is a 4 diff, 4 mid for 5 stun 2. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. And it also brings our curve down, right? So like we just like toss these away. We just like slam 3 of these in here, and as much as I hate it, we're gonna take this and put it at a 3 of. And it now gives us a different move for us to long-lasting explosion into on 5s. So now it's a 4 mid for 8 with stun 2 after my long-lasting. I'm playing the Fire Symbol at Nationals. There's no way that I don't.
It looks great. I'm telling you, if you like putting numbers on your cards, like that's the symbol, man. Yeah. And we're for sure doing that. Almost every card is in here. It does that thing, right? Which is why it works really well. I would say now go down all the attacks again. How many, if all of these are Furies? I think we've actually still have it to where all of them are. Yeah. So like I think because of that we didn't go towards those promos like we were talking about. Like you can still focus on what you were already kind of going for. Like Agitation still has space. Capabilities is still great. Let's Fight Bad Guys is still great. So like a lot of the foundations don't really need a lot of love aside from maybe just like shifting some things.
It's an ultra rare. How do I convince you to play Stun Grenade?
That card's sick.
It's an ultra rare that you're going to be picking up 4 of. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add a Fury attack this way to your hand, discard the remaining cards. E,
Sure.
draw an attack card. It's a mid.
Sometimes.
And then it gets +1 stuttering for each attack that's left your card pool this turn. That won't happen, but that's okay.
I almost just like it more than Hellflame Stomp, and it is also a high block. No, it's a low. Okay,
It's a low. Then
Oh,
there's
sorry, arrow. I meant arrow.
Arrow?
Because they're card for cards, right? Like we're trying to get a card by doing a thing.
Ooh, and this is if blocked.
If blocked, so there's a condition that we get nothing.
And this also synergizes with the long-lasting explosion more. This gives us a reason to put the other card back in. Like we could take. So if we took this and dropped it down to a 2 of, right? And we put in triple stun grenade, right? We still get to keep it. We've increased to 22. And then how many low blocks we got? We've got 3 here. If we take Blazing Fury and put it down here, we'll go all the way back up. And then we'll take... Where was that card? What was the name of that card? It was a Baku card. The one that says your next mid gets whatever. This.
Point detonation something.
Yeah. This gives us a reason to like play one of that card.
And it keeps us a low block.
And
like you
keeps
said,
us
okay.
a low block.
And like
we'll
you
still
said,
keep
like
22.
Going point, like when you do see the point blank, it's very good still for your mighty punches. that
4
you're
or
still
5.
playing.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think I will probably not immediately get 3 stun grenades, but what
You'll
I
open
will
'em.
Probably do is
you'll
what's
draft
that
'em.
card that you took out? The ignited arrow. I'll probably just have
Swap them.
ignited arrow.
Yeah, swap
the
them in
slot
instead.
until
for sure.
until I feel like, you know, depending on, you never know what prices are when things first drop, but yeah, that's like a perfect slot where it's like when I feel like picking up another stun grenade, or if I pull one or things like that, slip it right in there, right?
Yeah, I think the cool thing too is like now that we're also playing a card like Stun Grenade, you can look at a card like Encouragement, and not only is it good for you trying to again play a good curve, but now that pushes cards like Stun Grenade even a little further because it will add to the stun and get you going more. So like because of the top thing, right?
Right.
Because he doesn't inherently do it.
I mean, this entire deck just sideboards into Bakugo 1 expertly. I think Bakugo 1 has some crazy legs in the next set.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about Bakugo 1 sideboarding on this because everything is Fury still.
Yep.
I think.
Still.
Yeah,
He's gonna be real good
that's-
next set.
It's going to be crazy.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man, did you block my ignited arrow? Well, I guess it's whatever.
Get a card and get rid of it.
Blazing Fury is insane in Bakugo 1. I'll destroy my my burst speed, burn you for 2. Okay, it's for 8 damage now. I'll burn you for another 2. Oh, you blocked it? I'll discard this card from my card pool. I'll play a Blazing Fury. Okay. All right, neat. Okay, let's talk about the actions. 1 Sugar Rush, double or triple go for the win, triple Evil Gaze.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what to do with these because I think it's going to be you have to test it. I think this card is going to be cracked in your deck though. So like how many cards is it? 62. I think maybe putting this up to a 2 of. I mean, this is just like pay 0 life to do 3x what your character wants to do. Right?
Yeah.
It's +2 speed, +2 damage for 10 cards as opposed to 1 life. So like being able to give your moves +4/+4 for the low cost of 10 cards on the top of your deck or out of your discard pile. Nuts. 10 cards you get to pick. Actually fucked.
Yeah,
Actually fucked up.
and like playing Revel is really good for him, and like Revel will get you there so fast alone from just playing the game and its mechanics. But hey, give me 1 extra damage by milling a card, we'll get there. Ignited Arrow discards until you find something.
I'll discard 4 cards. That's half of
Stun Grenade, I believe, also is discard the rest.
Yeah. Like your discard pile is going to fill up like this, and this deck can easily, like, if you just like slammed 3 Sugar Rush power ups in the main board, you could just kill people on 2 so quick, Yeah.
I think you could even just like swap the counts of what Evil Gaze is at and Sugar Rush power up, because like you have Evil Gaze essentially on your face,
Right.
like ×2, right?
I would actually, like, if we were gonna be crazy with it, it'd be here, right? Because like the point is you want this to be minus speed and then blow something up just as much as you want it to be plus speed.
Right.
And he doesn't.
It's really nice
He
for blocking.
pays 2 for 4, right? As opposed to pay 2 for 2 and then destroy something. Yeah. Selective destruction. No.
But having both.
Minus 6. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've in the little bit of testing I've done on TTS, it's like play a Mighty Punch, Evil Gaze it, give it 2 speed with Let's Fight Bad Guys, give it 2 speed with my character. You want to block this? Like,
yeah, 9 speed.
You go.
Catch.
Yeah. That was tight. All right, we'll move on to the foundations real quick. Obviously, things like Fast as Flame and Quick to Act and Let's Fight Bad Guys are like the main reason to play this character. Let's look at some of the stuff that's like a little iffy. First off, let's look at the things that you left on the table, right? Having things like, what the fuck is Talented Baker? Oh, okay.
Because it had speed on it.
Yeah, this is if I've drawn a card plus speed. That's really cool with things like coping with number 1. Which is just like, if an attack is dealt damage this turn, draw a card. I mean, it's passing the torch on either your turn or your opponent's turn if the things are going right, right? Like they hit you for 1 and you commit 2 of these and draw 2, and now you get to block out the rest of the turn is sick, especially with...
He has the DR on his face, so you can eat something that doesn't hit as hard, and then you can draw an extra block to not worry about it later.
Correct.
And then you still have the -4 speed to then use that block with, because he doesn't say do one or the other. You get both of those once per turn.
And then just like things like Forcing Surrender and Frozen, like these staple fire cards that like man, I think Press Conference sucks.
You hate that card.
I think this card sucks. I think like Agitation's like the neatest one of that you can play. Like it's way better to play something like Coping because you get to really determine if like this is playable on both players' turns and this is only playable on your turn, right?
Yeah. Okay.
This is a response speed as opposed to enhanced speed. They have the same block. Like we easily could like play 1 and 1 if you really like Agitation.
But I think you'll find out pretty quickly, even just by testing it, you're gonna like you will like Coping more if you choose to keep a card like that in.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do I convince you to play like 3 of these? I think this is the sickest foundation out of Endeavor's kit. I think this card's fucked up.
It's also it's also your current only real use of momentum.
We now have powerful 2 on Stun Grenade, and powerful 3.
Powerful there, yeah.
Oh my god, Arctic is so good, Chad. Holy shit! Holy shit!
Yeah, I like the nerving, so I'm down to put 1 or 2 more in there.
Discard for Breaker 2 on offense and defense is like so good.
Right, it's kind of cool because it floats there, right? So it's like +2 speed on this attack, but you decided not to block it. Okay, my next one gets +2 speed then.
Correct.
Right.
100%.
It's also like it's also not unique, right? So like there's just a world where I'm playing Challenging the Fakes in a deck right now, and it's like if you double Challenging the Fake somebody, you almost tell your opponent to discard an attack card.
Yeah.
Now this one's you can cheat around more because it says to play a card, not an attack. So your opponent can play a foundation and just get rid of it, and the check doesn't matter.
Right.
But it is still like if you could play a card that said discard a momentum or discard 2 momentum, make your opponent discard a card, it's pretty good.
I mean, they discarded a block card, right? Like
yeah.
They played the foundation, and then they didn't kill you, right? Like you got a block out of their hand, and now you just like punch them in the face. Yeah, I want to put this as like a 3 of. I think this card is so cracked, and I think it's better than what capabilities has going for you. I think you're putting enough stats on stuff with the 3 spam foundations of quick, let's fight, fast as, not to mention your face. I think commit a foundation to do a thing is not that great. I think if you wanted more capabilities, capabilities got outclassed when Sugar Rush Power Up came out under its symbol. If we were playing this under all or death, I'd be down, but we're playing the fire symbol, so we've just got a better version of capabilities.
Yep, I'm down to cut it. I have 1 copy, and so anytime I have a deck with a bunch of Furies in it, I like to toss it in there because it was like one of the few momentum outs, right? But we got more of those, so it can go for sure.
Okay, so I think the big thing that we need to fit in is 3. Was that Did I do this one?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
this
was.
one, and then we have to do. We have to
I think
do
it's just good tech.
Talent Baker.
No, forcing. You know, like
Oh yeah. It's just decent, right? Do we have any combos? Nope.
Nope.
I mean, so okay. Well, actually, we're gonna take out the Forcing Surrender exclusively because that is in your deck. It is a disruption card, and you don't know what you're disrupting yet, right?
Mhm.
That is the biggest thing with new formats. Is your smallest pile is probably going to be your disruption pile because you don't know what to interact with, right? Your aggro flow defense pile should be absolutely massive to make sure that your deck works, and then you figure out which of those levers you can pull down on in order to increase your disruption.
irrefutable force of nature is that same kind of sense.
Mhm.
I think stealing foundations will always be good, but like if there's really important key pieces, it tells you whether that needs to be like a 4 of in your deck or just like a 1 or a 2 of.
Completely agree. All right, I'm gonna put heroic up to a 4 of just because it makes our blocks look a little cleaner. But I want to cut. What number do you want this to be at?
Probably max 65, we'll say. I don't like
65?
going
So 3.
I love that. Goodbye agitation. Goodbye double encouragement. All right, we got a deck. We did it. We did it. We have a deck. Yeah, those are 65, 15, 35, 15. This is a totally fun place just to start, and then you just get to like mess around with numbers as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts? Final thoughts? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I like some of this stuff. I like the idea of Frozen also, so I'll probably play with getting that in there because yeah, I mean, this deck doesn't want to necessarily kill on 2, but probably 3, right? And so, you know, making people commit on 3 when we're already giving speed would just like that turn 3. I just want to play 3 attacks and not let them block any of them. It's like the idea, right?
Yeah. I mean, you just got to cut mid blocks for it, right?
Yeah, like my instant look at is maybe League Interview. That's maybe my biggest one that I would look at. Just like the first form's great, and I don't think the response is needed in a character like Endeavor where you have a good emergency button on your face. You're also just gonna have fine speed hate with things like Heroic Lineage, and having Ice Gliding already at your disposal. So like I don't know if you need the League Interview. It is a 6 check.
And I love, like, I'm playing so many. I'm going to be trying to throw 5 diffs, so I check 3s all day, and so.
Fair enough.
You know.
Fair.
With that logic, then you probably cut the coping with number 1, and if it was me, I would cut a copy of Latent Skill and play it as a 1 of.
I think the C word is happening more and more in set 3, and so I think latent skills life is going to be way less.
So it
Yeah.
could just be 2 for 2 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't want my latent skill to get canceled. I beat a Bakugo 2 player. He was incredibly new out in Pasadena. 2 turns in a row. He played latent skill, and then like I'm playing Todoroki 1, and the first thing he does in his turn is latent skill, and I'm like, no. Yeah, you're a 5-hander. Sorry, Bakugo 2.
I'm playing Eraserhead, and my deck will always play Night Watch, and now under Void, I'm gaining the 13 draw cancellation card as well.
Oh yeah, this card's out.
It's just like
Goodbye, latent skill. We'll
like,
put it double
Latent
frozen.
Skill to me doesn't have text.
Yeah.
So
Oh my goodness. Oof. You can't
Maybe I'll
escape
put
me or something like that. What the
Yeah.
cards is?
Lady
That card's
might be
tight.
in the side, right? If I'm, if I'm really struggling to draw and I know they don't have cancels, that's like a good sideboard card.
for sure, and like you still have the 4 copies of Calling for backup. So like on those turns, you can be a 7-8 hander as well as when you play your ignited arrows or when you play the stunner grenades. Like you're going to still have the extra cards, and like latent skill doesn't actually net you 1, right? So I think those are still the better options to keep regardless.
Agreed. Final thoughts, buddy?
No, I like it.
Hell
I
yeah.
like it too.
Into it.
Looks cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you for the support over on Patreon. We'll catch you next time, okay?
All right, sounds good. See ya.
Peace.